Ochako Uraraka is a character with an extremely overpowered quirk that has been done dirty. Horikoshi, when originally creating her character, probably just intended her to be Izuku's love interest, seeing as the series wasn't even supposed to go as long as it has, and I don't ever imagine that her quirk was ever supposed to be anything more powerful than what we were shown in the anime thus far. However, ladies and gentlemen, with recent events in the manga and with the fact that I have been asking a couple of people, hey, rank your list of My Hero Academia character quirks in your own order, and people almost always, for some reason, underrate Uraraka's power. Not only does she have the ability to control gravity, bro, but the fact that her awakening has looked as overpowered as it has led me to believe that a lot of people seem to underrate Uraraka. And that's the reason why I will make the bold claim today that Uraraka's character has been done dirty, and she is a perfect example of overpowered done wrong. Since the beginning of My Hero Academia, her character was mainly just introduced as some sort of side character to be the love interest of Izuku Midoriya. However, as time goes on, we get to see that she herself puts those feelings to the side in order to let Izuku flourish into the hero that she knows he will be someday. In the anime of My Hero Academia, this is a topic that is discussed ever so slightly by Aoyama and by the girls in My Hero Academia when they question Uraraka on her love interest. Recently, this hasn't been a topic that has been put into play way too much. However, I do think that this is something definitely to note and to take into consideration. Uraraka's character was never meant to be this overpowered person, and I definitely do understand that. However, the fact that people underrate her quirk and don't really understand the real consequences and severity of the power that she has inside of her, she has a quirk very much like the Pro Hero 13s. In essence, these two powerful quirks would be much better used in the hands of villains. Could you imagine a villain with the power of 13 going around just straight destroying people with a black hole? That would be so dangerous. And I definitely think that Horikoshi didn't give that ability to a villain because they would probably have made an even greater villain than that of Overhaul. Could you imagine Uraraka being the traitor or something like that, in the essence that she used her quirk in the same way she used it in the very beginning of the anime when we were introduced to her, and she just went around tapping people. We've seen Uraraka have some incredible showings of her quirk in the anime in and of itself, and here are just a couple examples. Number 1. In the first season of My Hero Academia, during the quirk apprehension test, Aizawa tells Ochako to throw a ball and she uses her gravity quirk on it and literally throws the ball into space. I just want you to close your eyes and imagine how overpowered that would be in a villain's hand. Imagine you get touched and straight uppercut it into the moon. Like, that is no longer something that is a joke. Like, you could literally get punched into the moon. Think about how insanely OP that would be in the hands of a villain. Number 2. In the battle between Bakugo, Ida, Uraraka, and Izuku respectively, as soon as Deku uses his smash to break a gigantic pillar of the wall, Uraraka makes it weightless, and with this said beam of massive size, she grips this thing and straight smacks debris at Ida, causing Ida to be sent flying with this debris. And dude, that is just a little piece of what she could potentially do to somebody. Could you imagine Uraraka making a car weightless, lifting it up, throwing it at somebody, and then making its gravity return back to normal? That would be so busted. And that is just a hint of what she could potentially do. Spoiler warning. Number 3. She made an entire battlefield of Himiko Toga twice clones float up into the air without having touched a single one of them. In the brand new My Hero Academia chapters, we are starting to finally see a glimpse as to what I am talking about. Still, she doesn't use it to kill people because Uraraka, in her own words, says that zero gravity isn't a quirk meant to hurt people, but now, with the introduction of her quirk even having an awakening, there is no more denying how much of an insanely busted potential this quirk in and of itself has. In the new manga, Uraraka is fighting against Toga, and they're having a little bit of a talk in between the fight where they're talking about their feelings, they're talking about how things could have been different. Himiko Toga is explaining to Uraraka that the rules were made for her, that she doesn't have to suppress her feelings. This world is not made for villains, and how one bad day can impact the lives of everybody. But then Uraraka, with the selfless character that she always has been in the world, she then goes on to stick out her hand and say, "I'll give you my blood for the rest of my life." Now, This is important for a multitude of reasons, because the first confrontation that has now been brought to the manga was Ururaka and Tsuyu having their own first confrontation. But now, in the manga, we're getting more of Uraraka's character. Slowly, we have seen Horikoshi start to slightly begin to make a change into Uraraka's character, but even with this, I still believe that so many people are still gonna underrate Uraraka's character due to the fact of how busted and powerful the other characters are. This incredible quirk, Zero Gravity, not only would serve as a perfect villain quirk, but it might have potentially have served as a perfect villain quirk for a female character. Could you guys just for a moment close your eyes and imagine Uraraka as a villain? Think about it. A villain even more powerful than the likes of Overhaul. Maybe the Overhaul villain could have been switched into the role of Uraraka if Uraraka was a villain, using her quirk to pretty much just send people up to space, drop people from the heights of skyscrapers and kill a multitude of people. Use her Zero Gravity quirk to cause so much terrorism like damage and even be a part of the heroes versus villains battle, a part of the League of Villains. How busted her character would be. Think about it. We've seen characters like Shigaraki go through a quirk awakening and eventually become one of the most imposing threats ever. We saw Shigaraki come from the likes of being a man-child to now being the incredibly imposing villain that we now see on every single day in this manga. Uraraka's character is being handled in a very, very different way than I personally would like, and even then, I still very much enjoy Uraraka's character. The only reason that I'm making this video is just to talk to you guys about how Uraraka's character, in my opinion, was done a little dirty. Now, honestly, I feel like she should probably be portrayed more in the light of the character that is in the big three, Nejire, because generally speaking, the quirk Zero Gravity in the hands of literally anybody other than Uraraka could potentially be one of the top 5 most overpowered characters in the entirety of My Hero Academia. Think about it. A villain with top tier speed, somebody like Stain. Just take Stain for example. Replace the blood curdling quirk and just imagine how busted he would be. He speed blitzes you, taps you, bam, uppercut it to the moon. You're done. GG's, it's over. What are you gonna do? You're floating and you can't control yourself up in the air. Characters with flight-like powers might be able to do something, but still, everyone else is low-key gonna be kind of screwed, not gonna lie. Many people in the My Hero Academia community generally view Uraraka as just the love interest of Izuku, or just not really that much of an imposing character. And I think that this could have been fixed simply by giving Uraraka a couple more scenes in the anime of her genuinely showing the abilities of her quirk in much more of an imposing way, showing that she genuinely has some scary potential, or maybe giving her some more serious moments the like that she has whenever she and Toga share a spot in the battlefield. Giving her more moments like that early on would have helped solidify her overpowered status, as well as making other people stop downplaying her. Seeing how many people think that Uraraka is, generally speaking, not that strong is a little like, whoa, like what do you mean? Like, she has a gravity quirk. That in and of itself is more than enough to put most people in other animes in the top tier of their verse. So why shouldn't that work for Uraraka? So that's pretty much just the purpose of this video, and honestly, that's the only reason that I'm even making this video. All in all, with Bakugo's death being brought to the series, and Uraraka's character change that has been happening over the course of the last couple chapters, as well as the fact that her quirk has just awakened, I think we can finally give her a spot in Class 1A's Big 3.